All right. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Maine Moment. Um, week 2 of me leading. I have heard from Tenzin and she's still doing good, recovering well. Um, very happy that I'm leading. Oh, there's someone else in the waiting room. Hello, Katya. Hello. Um,
I hope that's okay.
you're all good. And yeah, Tenzin's doing good. I think she's happy to not be leading Main Moment at this point, just recovering. And yeah, let's just take a few moments to land here. Find your comfortable place and seat and just sit up a little bit taller and feel that active presence in your body. And we can try to put our necks in different angles, rolling it around, and just waking up the awareness in our body. Just sending gentle love, not having any judgments for, what feels good or what feels bad and what you need to fix, but just being aware of what's there. And then we can raise our shoulders up, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze everything in your body. And then exhale, release them down. And then do that one more time. Inhale. Then exhale, relax. We can roll them back, roll them up, and then back. Take any final stretches that you need to feel, comfortable where you are. Yeah. And then let's just do some deep breaths to start to get us into the love that we have here at Main Moment. We'll do 5 deep breaths. Now, just gently invite us to dedicate our good merits of being here to just showing up for the world in better, more aware ways, and for ourselves and for the people who we're around every day, those we love and those we meet for just 5 seconds. Just working on having the love with us at all times. And how wonderful is it that we can come here every Monday and just refresh that intention. So we can end that with Om Mani Padme Hum, which means jewel of the lotus flower, which means may wisdom and compassion arise from within. Wonderful. Does anybody else have a dedication for our practice tonight?
Calm and thoughtful legislators.
Yeah. Amen. Thoughtful, loving. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, yeah, welcome to Maine Moment. I guess all of us know each other here, except Katya is more new. um, yeah. So, how's everybody doing? So good. All right. Well, just want to take a moment to have some deep gratitude for Tenzin. Just love her so much. She's been so helpful to me, especially in the era of Trump. And this new era that I'm in, I feel really grounded after every Maine moment and just really thankful to um, meeting her when I did in college and having this continued presence since November. Past few months feels really nice. So this week I would like to talk about the next 3 guiding lights that I felt important to me, and Katya and Katie the Pisces, just to refresh. I was talking about these 6 guiding lights that I just came up with to talk about, stuff that I've learned from Tenzin in my travels in India, and I did the first 3 last week, which were the moment that you think you're right is the most dangerous place to be. And when you get away from love, come back as soon as you can. And gratitude is everything. So those were 3 that we talked about last week. And then this week I have 3 more for you. Woo! Okay. So without further ado, I would like to talk about joy. Joy is something that I think the Buddhists do so well. Partially because it's not like this toxic positivity situation that we have going on here in the States sometimes, but more of just looking at it that like joy is readily available everywhere and we can access it in so many different ways. It doesn't have to just be from something that you do for yourself that makes you feel joy, like, I don't know, getting a manicure or whatever, something like that. It's like joy is actually this like foundational vibration that is going on with people around us all the time, and we can tap into it whenever. And that's one thing that I love when Tenzin talks about, is that joy, like we can have joy by just noticing the joy around us and rejoicing in other people's joy and just being like, wow, maybe I'm not really feeling it right now, but I'm really seeing that this person is really happy, and that is a gift. And like how lovely is it that they can be happy, and that then I can rejoice in that. And I know that jealousy I think is really normal and also natural and not something that we need to necessarily. I'm not really getting at like you shaming jealousy or something here. Um, I think jealousy is like a really good opportunity to check in with yourself and then be more aware of like, okay, there are two paths I could go down right now. I could either be jealous and feel not good, or I could just notice that they are joyful and try to just say to myself, wow, I really want to rejoice in their joy. Wow, they are doing this amazing thing. They wrote this amazing song. I really want to rejoice in this and not compare everything back to me, and not like, because some things you just don't need to relate to yourself. Um, and I mean, the Buddhists think that like you shouldn't really ever relate to yourself. Um, Not that I'm there at all. Um, but yeah, joy in everything and joy in others, I think is a really big thing. And then one thing that I've been thinking about a lot recently, in our culture right now that feels particularly focused on doing things and productivity, especially like in a political way, because it's like, oh, it's so bad. I need to like try to figure out what I can do and like what I can have as my output. I like thinking about joy as resistance and joy as one of the biggest acts of resistance that we can do right now. Um, just in terms of like joy is not fear, and it's one of the furthest things away from fear. And a lot of things thrive on fear. I think a lot of political leaders want us to be afraid. Um, and that like focusing on your joy and cultivating your own peace of mind is a really big act of resistance. It's not something that is just like, oh, I need to do all these things and then maybe if I get to it I can try to focus on my joy. It's like, oh, that is the practice that we can come to every single day and feel really proud about that and feel good about that. Um, and I do think that joy is a practice. Um, and that there are some things that you can identify that's like really particular to yourself that you're like, okay, I know that this makes me happy. And then there's also things like meditation and other forms of cultivating your peace of mind that will inherently make you happy as well. Um, but I just wanted to ask you guys like what you feel is some of your biggest pathways for accessing joy.
Maybe music. Music is a good
Music.
access to joy. It's like instantaneous almost if I listen to something happy. And then I start dancing and then I'm really happy and joyful.
Love.
I was gonna also say dancing, but also something I've been working on this year is restoring my concentration and focus. And I've been trying to reduce my time on my phone and on my screens and really dedicating the time to restoring that back. I feel more simple joys filling my cup more. And now
Hmm.
that I have a taste of what that feels like, I just want to keep going with it. So, yeah, it's
Oh, that's
powerful.
awesome.
Thanks.
I would say
Wow.
walking outside, being outside in nature brings me joy.
I am just about done with my taxes, and that is bringing me joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say being outside and looking at like cute animals like birds and stuff.
Yeah. And monkeys eating bananas.
I like finger puppets lately too. They're joyful. They
That's
like
cute.
every mood.
Yeah, great. Yeah, joy is just so powerful. And I like what Katie said too of like, there are some things that if we get into the habit of them, it is harder to feel joy. Or like we need more things in order to feel joy. And I do think that social media is one of them. And I guess other things on our phone, but social media is probably the biggest one. And YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. Oh, so hard right now. Um, but like, yeah, it's really awesome to be aware of what you feel like is like kind of making that threshold go higher, so that then you need more and more things. And then just coming back to it and being nice to yourself too, because it's like, yeah, well, unfortunately, we're living in this era where like phones are super, super present, and it's a real addiction that a lot of people and a lot of young people can struggle with and probably will for, I don't know, it sounds really bleak to say the rest of our lives, but just like being nice to yourself that like, oh, I'm gonna try this and I might fail, and then I'll be nice to myself if I do fail, and then try to be back to being as aware as I can be, and not just shaming ourselves. Um, so the next guiding light that I want to talk about is not being too serious. Tenson talks about this a lot, which um I love it when she talks about this, because you wouldn't normally maybe expect that out of a Buddhist nun. And you totally see that when you're around a bunch of nuns too. Like they're always laughing. The Dalai Lama is always laughing too. And I think the most spiritual people are always laughing. And when you can live by this guiding light of not taking things too seriously, I think it is just like letting go of attachments in a lot of ways, and letting go of like the idea that things are personal, or like that things that people do are like personal to you, or things that people say are like personal to you, and just being so light with everything. And that's not, yeah, I don't think that it has any downsides. It's not like they're like light about injustice or something like that. It's just like light about things that you can be light about, and laughing at whatever you can laugh about, and making sure to have those moments in your day that remind you that things aren't super serious. Um, like for me, well, I live with Barry. I'm not at our house right now, but we will just uh go into some like random improv bit for like 30 minutes at a time or something, and it's like I need that kind of stuff in my everyday life, um to remind me to be super playful with my life. And that like, yeah, we have these jobs and they're hard, and we have these problems around us and that's hard, but it's like we also do have this amazing capability to play and be so light, and that's so nurtured when we're kids. Hopefully that was nurtured for all of us when we were kids, and we just end up losing that somewhere along the way. And yeah, I love being not too serious. It's one of my favorite things. That's when I feel like I'm happiest too, is when I'm like just being light with my life in the world, and with this deep knowing too, like this deep trust that like you will be taken care of if you are living in love. Um, and yeah, does anybody have anything that they want to say about not being too serious, or how do you access that? Or
I have something to share. So obviously Tenzin's my aunt. And I did grow up with her closely when I was little. And then when I entered my early 20s is when she took her vows as a Buddhist nun. And I have two distinct periods of my life where I remember her before that and her now as a Buddhist nun. And there was some years in my 20s that after she went off to India, that I was really afraid that my aunt wasn't there anymore and that we wouldn't connect in the same way. I thought she was going to be really serious and judgmental on certain choices that I've made. And I reconnected with her this past year, and last year I was 28. And I was just so delighted and happy to witness that she was absolutely, the same aunt that I had, like just was so playful. And something about my aunt is that she has like the best music taste and she loves to dance. And the first time we reconnected, we were playing all of the old songs that she would play when I was growing up. And it just was really amazing to witness that, she is this Buddhist nun and has this higher wisdom. And I learned so much from her, but at the same time, she's so approachable and easy to talk to. And I was completely wrong. And so happy that I had that moment of just, I'm trying to reconnect and then really being impressed with how things turned out. I wouldn't be here otherwise. It's been so amazing to see her step into this role, like, and hear her speak and teach. Like some of my first experiences, really seeing how she's impacted so many people's lives and meeting all of you has been so lovely. Yeah, I'm just very happy to be here.
oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
What a wonderful story.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, she's always telling me, like, Abby, you need to keep dancing.
Yeah.
She's like one of my biggest supporters in dancing.
Totally. She's got some good beats. She's always had some good moves too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so awesome. Because we do think of religion as being this very like serious place. That's like, but like love is the most serious thing, and like love and joy, that's being playful and like light about things, being like the essence of light.
Absolutely.
Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about is spaciousness and making space in your life, which I think is really hard to do in our culture and in this day and age, and not very valued. But I guess what I do want to say is that some of the greatest and most divine experiences of my life have been when I have been able to just create space in my life for whatever to flow through and not being really attached to a certain plan, or also being attached to a certain outcome as well. And those have been in like really big ways. Like I just like went to India with no plan. And I'm not necessarily recommending that because that was really privileged of me to be able to do. Like I didn't have a job and I had flexible timing. And I mean, I did just have the most amazing time of my life and met the most influential people, but I am more talking about it in kind of more micro ways, creating space and just becoming aware of if you do just have your day completely planned out, um, or not even just your day, but just like your mind, like, because that's what meditation kind of is, really. It is just like creating space or really just being aware that our whole mind is just space. Like it is just empty space that we can be aware of and tap into, and that's what the meditation that we're going to be doing is about. Um, a lot of Buddhist teachers talk about your mind as an open sky, which I really like to think about that, and that like we are just these spacious beings with this expansive consciousness that its pure nature is space, and how we can kind of, I guess I'm interested in talking about how we can kind of live a little bit more by that principle or by that teaching. Um, I think for me, spaciousness means living a little bit more simply, kind of in the most practical way, like paring down the things that I'm doing in a day or the things that like actual things that are around me. Um, that is like especially in relation to my phone because I do think that like technology can have a huge like space in our brain and um yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I want to say about spaciousness. Does anybody have anything that they want to say?
I was just gonna back you on the phone thing. I think it's so overstimulating. And if you think about how we choose to relax, if you lay down and then you start scrolling on your phone, your mind is absorbing so many pieces of content at once, and then you stop and you realize how unrelaxed you feel. And if you just,
Yeah.
and I know that this might seem like a simple idea for maybe some of the older generations that didn't grow up as much with phones when they were young. I don't think a lot of the younger generations realize that real rest means putting down the phone, laying down for 15 minutes with nothing in your hands to occupy you. And it's amazing how time slows down and that 15 minutes really does feel restorative.
Mm,
And like I said, this seems basic, but I think a lot of people are unaware of the effects of consuming so much at once and the overstimulation and the fragmentation of your attention. It makes it harder to concentrate on things. If you can't tell, I'm very passionate about this topic and been really trying to restructure my life so I can live more simply, as you're saying, and just stretch my time. Like our time is precious, and with all of the obligations of work and taking care of ourselves and chores and all the things, free time is a precious time, and
mm.
we should use it wisely.
Love that. Really well
Yeah,
said, Katie.
thanks.
I think it's also really scary for people to, and it can be really scary for me sometimes to like not be like if I do have free time to not like grab my phone because that means you are like just tapping into like being with your mind and being with your thoughts and being with yourself. Um
And it's
and
crazy too that sometimes, like, when there is a strong addiction there and you're consciously trying to reduce your time, you reach for it or you think to reach for it, and you're like, oh my God, it's like there really is, your brain gets addicted dopamine and you're reaching for it. And it's like
yeah.
it takes a while to break that habit. And then I think you start having to reach for things like going for a walk or going out into your real life community and seeing strangers on the street or whatever it might be, getting together with friends. And then it's kind of a snowball effect of you're being more present in your life and having more meaning into interactions and experiences. And sometimes I just like to pretend for a bit that I am not living in the 21st century and, you know, what would life be like without technology, even though I think it does help a lot in some ways and I am grateful for it. But it's nice to just like put it in a drawer for a bit and just be.
Totally. Dad?
One of the things that brings me joy is to go out on a bike ride. And I don't know if any of you cycle, but I believe that it's my meditation. And there's a little saying that says you should make space every day for the bicycle at least 30 minutes, unless you're too busy, and then you should go for an hour ride.
Yeah, that's what they say about meditation. Oh, that's so hard to actually put into practice, though.
Yeah, but you need it.
Yeah, love that.
um, a little story. Several years ago, I had a woman who had just recently retired from doing like grant writing and stuff like that, and but she also did helped organize, and I had changes in my life, and I asked her to help me to do some clearing and stuff like that, but she would only do one thing a day. So if I was the one thing, I'd get her. Um, but she also, if there was any like ice on the road or anything like that, it's like she wouldn't do anything. So we had our very first session where she came to where I was living. It was great. I'm like, yes, I want to do this every week. But it ended up being like once a month, for like maybe 3 months. And then, then the fall came and it was rainy. And then we actually did do Zoom, and it was pre-COVID. So we were actually ahead of our time. We did Facebook, I guess, or FaceTime a couple of times. But all in all, in like 6 months, I maybe had her for like 5 sessions. And she was so helpful. It was like, damn. But she was like, one thing a day. And I'm like, just make it two today, But she was giving herself space. And I've learned a lot from that. Because I can overschedule myself, and I'm trying to, to feel like I'm a productive member of society, and I'm cutting back. And it's interesting. It's like how to deal with space when I've given it to myself. I'm getting better, but I was a little lost at first.
Yeah, we had to relearn some of those things sometimes.
Something I was gonna say about space is that it can be kind of scary for me to think of like this, if we take the phone example of like, oh no, I have to create space off my phone. And that's like a loss for me. And something I try and reframe is like what, instead of focusing on like less time on my phone, I think about like making space for things I actually want to do, which is like, I want to study, or I want to see this friend, or I want to journal today. And what ends up happening is I'm on my phone less because I'm doing the things I'm gaining or like getting joy from. But when I
Yeah.
have tension in like inversely of like I need to not do this and I need to be better at that, and it never feels as good and it never really happens. So the space almost like if I focus too much on it, it never arises. But then when I like what you were kind of saying earlier of just like being open to it and having kind of like a guiding light, then I actually invite it into my life.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. I've had people, different teachers tell me like it's really when you're like framing your goals, it's really important to frame them in a positive way, not a negative way, in terms of like what you want to add instead of what you want to take away. Cool. Well, without further ado, we're gonna get into the meditation. Let me see about screen sharing here. Oh, and okay. Feel free to lay down, be as comfortable as possible. She's like very relaxing and has a lot of pauses in between what she's saying. So if you feel yourself falling asleep, ride those dreams, love yourself through it all. I'm gonna, okay. Can you guys hear this? Let me know. Can you hear that? You didn't hear that.
You may have to share your audio in the Zoom settings somehow.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
Oh man. Going into the settings. This is not my computer because mine was not connecting to Wi-Fi. So let's see about this. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's also not doing anything, so maybe it just hadn't started making noise.
Yeah, oh, audio. Do you guys see what I should be clicking?
Abby, stop unsharing. And then when you reshare, press share with audio.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
There's going to say share computer sound when you try resharing. It's normally like a little box you click.
I'm like not even seeing how to stop share. Okay, is it? Oh, here it is. Stop share. Okay. Share. It just says share screen.
Is there a share computer sound box before you're clicking share?
No.
On the bottom right.
No. This is, oh, yeah. Okay. Yep, I got it. Thank you.
If it's night time for you, that's
Can you
fine.
guys hear it now? Okay,
Yes. Yes.
cool.
Whatever posture you're in, it's important to learn how to relax in meditation. This is perhaps easier said than done, but it is possible, and it's worth turning your attention to it and realizing that the only person that can teach you the art of relaxation or letting go and resting is you. I can say a few words to point you in that direction. But the investigation, or the practice of turning inwards, is really about you learning what it feels like to relax and how to facilitate that and deepen it. So firstly, just start to gather an appreciation of the silence and stillness, which is actually always present. Not as a phenomena, but more as an intuitive, felt sense. Even if there are sounds outside, or my voice coming and going, even if people are moving around you, there is still that stillness that you can rest into. And you can do this simply by recognizing it. And how do I do this? A few ways you can start is simply by turning your awareness to the very sound of silence itself. Just noticing the silent sound in between any external sounds. And you're recognizing it as something inherent, not as something you have to create or manufacture, but simply recognizing it as a natural, ever-present state of being, and abiding as that. Notice silence for a while, right now, all pervading, ever present. Allow all the sounds to come and go without getting into combat or conflict with anything. Just keep turning your attention to the background silence that contains them all. And gently rest into that. And if you find this really difficult, because it is a subtle practice, you can say the word silence a few times, allowing spaces between the words, doing it slowly. And then just notice how your entire body and mind feel. And as you learn and teach yourself how to become more sensitive to this very silence within and without, you're attuning yourself to it. Can you see how you can start resonating with it? Or perhaps more accurately, how it resonates within and as the very fabric of your being. There's a few metaphors that we can draw on and contemplate in our meditation that can help us to become more sensitive and more attuned in order to recognize His silence, peace and stillness. One of the most common metaphors is that of the open sky. The open sky is all-pervasive, ever-present. It contains everything that flies through this sky. And yet the sky remains untouched, unmoved. The sweetest bird moves unimpeded through the open sky. Our minds are just like this open sky when we start to recognize this aspect of the mind. Rather than paying attention and getting into fights or conflict with the various objects that appear in the mind, the sky of the mind, we turn our attention more to the space of the mind itself. So just be the sky, open and embracing everything. And knowing it will just simply pass through naturally and eventually dissolve.
All right. I'll have you, everyone, just gently come out of the meditation. Blink your eyes or wiggle your fingertips and take some deep breaths in the sky. How was that meditation for people? Good, good, sleepy, very sleepy. Oh, good. Relaxed. Yeah. Be the sky. I like thinking about that because so much of our, I think, outward conflict stems from the inner conflict that we have. You know, like how often do we have a thought and then have a fight with the thought? Or, you know, instead we could just turn towards knowing that it's just this, it'll just pass through, and it doesn't have to disturb anything. So hard to do in actuality, though. Yeah, the last parting words I would like to say is that when focusing on joy, I think it's like easy to think of these like big moments of joy that we've had, whereas you're just, you know, radiating love and feeling so alive. But just to um, scale it back a little bit so that that's not always your goal, but just resting in this quiet contentment can be so joyous and probably what is most available. Tenzin always will say, like, don't focus on the euphoric states because those will come, but they'll just be like more rare, and that there's this quiet contentment that can be really accessible to us, and just to rejoice if you have found that for a few moments in your day or most of your day or some days all of your day. And I wish everybody the most joyous days to come for this week. And until I see you next, bye, monkey.
Abby, do you mind repeating your first 3 guiding lights so I can write them down?
Oh yeah. And I think I'm gonna, so, oh yeah, also an announcement is that I have become the media person, um, in a very casual way, but I've been posting the Maine moment recordings to the Tashi Getsel Ling YouTube. There's a YouTube page. And so it takes a lot of Wi-Fi and stuff to post them, so I'm doing it kind of slowly, but I'll have the one that I led posted in the coming weeks too. But yeah, the first 3 guiding lights are the moment you think you're right is the most dangerous place to be.
Mm.
And when you get away from love, come back to it as soon as possible.
Mhm.
And gratitude.
Mm. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Love to everybody here.
Love you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you,
so much.
Abby. Nicely
Yeah,
done
see you
again.
next Monday too. I think I'll be leading it next Monday. I need to check in with Tenzin, but
I think she's got you down through the end of April, personally. That's what I thought I saw.
yeah.
It's great seeing everyone, but I really appreciate that Katie is here
Aw, thank you.
with tensing, tensing, recovering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard from her and she's just so joyous and in such good spirits despite having a very major surgery. And I missed last week because my mom actually came to visit. My mom is Tenzin's sister. So I was visiting with my mom this past weekend. And yeah, I was sad to miss last week preparing for her visit, but it's been such a habit now for me to join and I miss it as soon as I can. So I was so excited to join tonight and you're doing such a fantastic job, Abby. So thank you so
Thank
much for guiding
you.
us. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just end on an Om Mani Padme Om. Everyone can sing it if you know it, but Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om Om Mani Padme Om. All right, love to everybody. See
Love
you
to you.
next week.
Bye.
Bye. Sally.
Amazing job, by the way.
Yes, excellent.
Who's that?
Wait 1 second. Let me stop recording.
Oh, who is that?